Okay, so are you ready to dive into, like, one of Tolkien's biggest mysteries?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Bombadil, right?
Yeah.
We've got all your research and theories and everything that points to this character that kind of seems to just exist outside the rules
Yeah, it's true.
of Middle-earth.
Uh,
So what makes him so fascinating?
well, I think for me, it's that we have all this research and we still have so many questions.
Right.
Tolkien was so secretive about him. It's like he's shrouded in mystery, and it just adds to, like, who he is.
It makes him more intriguing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like Tolkien dropped this incredibly powerful being into Middle-earth, but forgot to include the instruction manual.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we have to kind of figure it out on our own.
Yeah, we're putting the pieces together.
Yeah. So let's start with what we do know.
Okay.
Tom has undeniable power,
Yes.
especially in the Old Forest.
Right.
I mean, Tolkien uses phrases like, what is it, Lord of the Wood, Water, and Hills?
Yes.
Like
He had a big title.
that's a big deal. Speaks with animals, bends trees to his will.
Yeah, like that whole encounter with Old Man Willow is just such a perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't overpower him with brute force.
Right.
He subdues him with a song. It's like a parent correcting a child.
Right. It almost sounds like a deeper connection to nature rather than
Yeah.
being dominating over it.
Totally. Not a conqueror, but like a guardian.
That actually reminds me of what Goldberry says about the forest, how the lands and things don't really have owners.
Yes.
It's more about just existing together.
In harmony with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really sets him apart from all the other powerful figures
Right.
in Middle-earth.
Because they all want to have power over
They want to
all.
control things, yeah. They want to own the power.
And that kind of brings us to, I guess, like the elephant in the room, or I guess maybe like the Hobbit in the forest,
Okay.
the One Ring.
The One Ring. Yes.
This is where Tom is just,
This is where it gets good. This is where it gets good.
this is where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
Because we see characters like Gandalf and Galadriel.
Yeah.
They grapple with it.
Mm-hmm.
They feel the weight of it.
Yeah.
But Tom doesn't faze him.
He's just like, what is this little trinket?
It's like a shiny button to him.
Yeah.
Considering how it affects everyone else, does that mean that he just exists on a whole other plane?
It's very possible, yeah. And it's like, how can something so small and insignificant to him be so powerful to everyone else?
And corrupting.
Right.
It really makes you question, like, what is power?
It really does. That's such a good point. Is it dominance and control? Or is it about harmony
Yeah.
and understand, like he has?
So then where does his power come from?
Right.
What is it?
Big question.
Yeah, and I know that you have some research on this and some really interesting theories.
Well, we have to admit, Tolkien never really tells us.
Right.
Like, he leaves it very vague,
Yeah.
which is frustrating. But he does give us some clues.
Okay.
Like, when Goldberry says he was there before the Dark Lord came from outside,
Right.
what does that even mean?
And he sings about existing before fear and darkness came into the world?
Before.
Before.
Which, if you think about the vastness of Tolkien's world,
Right.
that's really saying something.
It's a long time.
It is a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads us to two common theories, right?
Yeah.
We've got, he's the embodiment of Middle-earth itself.
Okay, so like a physical manifestation.
Yes, like a spirit woven into the very fabric.
Wow.
Or
Okay.
he's an Ainu,
Makes that.
an angelic being, one of the ones who sang creation into existence,
Okay.
but chose to do his own thing.
Oh, wow. So he's like, I don't know, just kind of chilling.
Yeah, like, I'm good. I'm just going to hang out over here. You guys do your thing.
Yeah. So we have two really good theories.
We're both fascinated. Like, they are both speculation.
They are both just speculation. Ugh, Tolkien. Why do you do this to us?
I know.
Why? It's like he leaves it open to interpretation,
I think he does that on purpose.
which I guess makes it more fun to kind of dive into it.
I think so. It makes it more mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have this enigma, right, Tom? With all this power, but even with all that, it's obvious that his influence isn't limitless. There are definitely boundaries.
Yeah, no, totally. There are edges to his domain, and you actually touch on this in your research, too.
The Barrow-wights are a really interesting example. Tom knows they're dangerous. He warns the hobbits about them.
He does. He's like, watch out for the Barrow-wights. Well, he sings that little rhyme.
Right. About the downs and the barrows.
Yeah, it's catchy and creepy at the same time.
Exactly. But the thing is, he doesn't actually do anything about it. He even says himself that his power doesn't work on them, those old evil things.
So his powers are kind of like tied to the old forest. Like, they
Yep.
only work there. It seems that way, yeah. Which makes his relationship with someone like Farmer Maggot even more interesting.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because they clearly have a history. Like, they're more than just acquaintances.
Right. Tolkien even uses the word kinship to describe their connection, and I don't think that's by accident.
No, not at all. It's like they share an understanding.
Totally. A mutual respect that goes way beyond their very different worlds.
And they're always sharing information. Remember that part in your notes? They're so subtle about it. But it's clear that Tom's not completely in the dark about what's happening outside his little domain.
Exactly. It's like he's watching from afar, stepping in with advice or a warning when it's absolutely necessary, which takes us back to those limits. How far does Tom actually see? What's his influence, even indirectly? And these are things that your research, even though it's amazing, it's only a starting point, you know?
Right, yeah. It's like we see these glimpses of something massive.
A much larger picture.
But we can't quite make it out. But we can't talk about Tom without bringing up Goldberry.
I was going through your notes, and you had so many interesting observations about her. And honestly, she's always fascinated me.
Right. It's impossible to talk about one without the other. They just work together.
Yeah, they're like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And she's always described as this, I don't know, almost radiant being, so connected to the river, like it's a part of her.
Yes, a living embodiment. The way Frodo describes her, he's like, "My fair lady, clad all in silver green." It's just so beautiful and captivating.
And her voice, some have said it sounds like a rill of water.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that just speaks to how connected to nature she is.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know, the tranquility of the old forest.
Yeah.
She's the opposite of all the chaos going on outside of it. And their relationship is interesting, too. Because it's not a typical Tolkien love story, you know. There's no real tragedy or loss.
No heartbreak or sorrow. It's all about peace.
And just this complete and utter joy.
They exist in this constant state of grace. Like they're totally immune to all the darkness in Middle-earth, which makes a weird kind of sense after talking about Tom's ancient origins, don't you think?
It's like they're a safe haven from all the craziness.
Exactly. But it's not like they don't know what's going on. It's more like they're making a choice.
To be aware but not get caught up in it.
Yeah. To protect something precious.
Which brings us back to that big question, the one that started all your research. What is it about Tom's power? Where does it even come from? And what does it mean for, like, the whole point of Tolkien's world?
We thought about him maybe being Middle-earth itself, or that Ainu who decided not to play by the rules.
Right, right.
But honestly, even those ideas don't quite cover it, you know?
It's almost like Tolkien saying some things are just bigger than we can understand.
Yeah, and that's fine. Maybe it even has to be that way.
Right. Especially in a world obsessed with who has the most power, who's in control.
Exactly. And then there's Tom. He shows us a whole different kind of strength.
Like the quiet...
Yes. The kind that comes from accepting things, from understanding, from seeing how everything's connected.
He doesn't need some magic ring to matter.
He just is.
That's a pretty amazing message when you think about it, especially in The Lord of the Rings, where everything's about fighting this huge, scary darkness.
And Tom's just there, like a little flicker of light that never goes out.
It gives you hope, you know, that no matter how bad things get, there's always going to be some good somewhere.
Always. Just like how there are still places untouched by all that darkness, where peace and happiness still exist.
It makes you wonder if that's what Tolkien wanted us to see. That even though we're diving into these mysteries, maybe some things aren't meant to be solved.
Maybe it's more about asking the questions, exploring those possibilities.
He gave us a character who's basically a walking, talking riddle.
A riddle with a really good song.
That's Tom Bombadil. So we're going to leave you with that thought. Keep those questions coming. Keep digging into the research.
And, you know, maybe you'll find something amazing hidden in those pages.
You never know. Until next time, happy reading.